Welcome, agents. This time we will review another instance in which the SCP Foundation plays with the ticking bombs that are anomalies. As we will see, the right circumstances can cause a seemingly harmless but bizarre event to turn into a potentially disastrous catastrophe. Item number SCP-1669. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1669 is housed in a standard humanoid containment cell at Humanoid Containment Site-06-3. As a former Foundation researcher, SCP-1669 is considered a low-risk humanoid SCP and may request items or materials at the discretion of Level 3 security staff, so long as such materials do not violate any security protocols. SCP-1669 is aware of its classification as a Euclid class anomalous entity, but is not aware of the specifics of its containment, nor of the nature of 1669 alpha events. Disclosure of this information to SCP-1669 is punishable by immediate transfer and/or termination. In the event of such disclosure, SCP-1669 is to be administered a Class A amnesty. All deceased instances of SCP-1669 are to be stored in separate cryogenic freezers following examination and autopsy. Until such time that a better understanding of SCP-1669 alpha events is made, all experimentation regarding and attempts to prevent such events are indefinitely suspended. Description: SCP-1669 are instances of human subjects matching the description of Dr. Daniel Isaac, an Israeli biologist and Level 2 assistant researcher and laboratory technician formerly employed by the Foundation at Humanoid Containment Site-06-3 until his classification as a Euclid class entity on. Due to SCP-1669's status as a former Foundation employee and the nature of its anomalous properties, SCP-1669 is mostly cooperative with Foundation personnel, as long as full disclosure of its anomalous properties and Event 1669 Alpha is not made. Event 1669 Alpha is an anomalous event that has occurred on and has reoccurred approximately every 161 days since, with a margin of error of approximately 33 hours. During a 1669 Alpha event, a perfect copy of SCP-1669 will spontaneously come into existence somewhere within 30 meters of SCP-1669 and immediately attempt to kill SCP-1669 by any means possible. The newer instance of SCP-1669 will not respond to any attempts at communication and exhibits extraordinary single-mindedness in the completion of its goal. It will attempt to limit collateral damage, especially injury or loss of life, but will not stop until the previous instance of SCP-1669 is dead. To date, no attempt to prevent the death of the previous instance of SCP-1669 has succeeded. New instances of SCP-1669 have exhibited unusual strength, speed, and reflexes, as well as the capability to shrug off or ignore pain and injury. See Addendum 1669-01 for more information. Upon death of the previous SCP-1669 instance, SCP-1669 will lose consciousness for a period of no less than 3 minutes, and upon returning to consciousness, will have no recollection of any event prior to the initiation of Event 1669-Alpha. Examination and autopsy of SCP-1669 instances has yielded that they are exact copies, aside from whatever clothing or equipment they are wearing or carrying at the time, down to the presence of birth marks, minor injuries, and scar tissue. Investigation of the work history of Dr. Isaac has not yielded any anomalous items or containment objects, which can explain SCP-1669's anomalous properties. As a Level 2 laboratory technician, Dr. Isaac did not have any direct contact with objects in containment. Addendum 1669-01 Log of notable event 1669 alpha iterations. Iteration number 1. Date. Time 1521. Description: during a brief conversation with co-worker Dr. outside of Biological Laboratory 3, SCP-1669-1 appeared from a nearby hallway, walked up behind Dr. Isaac, and stabbed him 13 times in the torso with a scalpel. Dr. Isaac died within approximately 23 seconds, upon which SCP-1669-1 lost consciousness. Note: all clothing and carrying items on SCP-1669-1 were identical to that of Dr. Isaac, including the serial number and wear pattern of a $20 note Dr. Isaac had received as the result of a bet with a co-worker approximately 14 minutes before the event. Iteration number 2. Date. Time 11:08. Description: SCP-1669-2 appeared out of a large air vent near SCP-1669-1, who had been transferred into a low-security cell following 162 days of observation. SCP-1669-2 entered the cell and strangled SCP-1669-1 before security guards were able to respond, upon which SCP-1669-2 lost consciousness. Examination of the HVAC system showed no possible way in which an adult human could have gained access to the containment wing. Note: all clothing and carried items were identical, except that the jumpsuit worn by SCP-1669-2 was yellow instead of the regular orange. Iteration number 8. Date. Time 9:17. Description: with prior approval from the site director, SCP-1669-7 was informed of the nature of Event 1669 Alpha and given body armor and a non-lethal firearm prior to the event. Response team members armed with additional non-lethal weapons were assigned to guard SCP-1669-7, with orders to attempt to subdue and take SCP-1669-8 alive, if possible. SCP-1669-8 appeared during a shift change for the response team. During the confusion, SCP-1669-8 managed to subdue 3 armed personnel in hand-to-hand combat before reaching SCP-1669-7 and shooting it twice in the head with a high-caliber handgun. The non-lethal weapons employed by response team personnel appear to have no effect. Note: SCP-1669 exhibited advanced training in hand-to-hand combat techniques in this iteration, which is inconsistent with the level of defensive capability known to be in SCP-1669's possession outside of a 1669 Alpha event. This iteration is also notable as the first iteration in which a new instance of SCP-1669 appeared with a weapon or equipment not in the possession of the previous instance. Iteration number 12. Date. Time 23:22. Description: prior to Event 1669 Alpha, SCP-1669-11 was locked inside an armored personnel carrier, crewed and guarded by 2 heavily armed squads from Mobile Task Force. MTF was given discretionary permission to protect SCP-1669-11 using any means at their disposal, up to and including the use of lethal force. SCP-1669-12 appeared wearing heavy body armor and wielding a man-portable high-explosive anti-tank rocket launcher, which it used to destroy the carrier. 1 member of MTF, as well as SCP-1669-11, were killed instantly and 4 more team members were wounded in the attack. SCP-1669-12 was also injured by its proximity to the blast. Note: injuries sustained by SCP-1669-12 in the explosion included a severed left pinky finger, caused by shrapnel from the explosion. This finger was unable to be reattached, and all subsequent instances of SCP-1669 have exhibited the same missing digit. Tracking the serial number of the weapon used in the attack turned up an identical weapon that had been transferred to the armory of Site, over 650 kilometers away, just 2 hours prior to the event. Iteration number 20. Date: Time: 2322. Description: with prior approval from both respective site directors, SCP-1669-19 was taken to Containment Area 25B, where SCP-76-2 had recently awakened. Cooperation from SCP-76-2 was secured when informed that the force coming for SCP-1669-19 could not be stopped by any means available to the Foundation, and would make a worthy opponent for SCP-76-2. SCP-1669-19 was positioned within the killing corridor behind SCP-76-2. SCP-1669-20 emerged from SCP-76-1 and launched at SCP-1669-19, but the attack was successfully deflected by SCP-76-2. The two proceeded to battle for 14 hours before SCP-1669-20 suddenly manifested and attacked SCP-76-2, resulting in and the death of members of MTF, as well as SCP-1669-19, upon which SCP-1669-20 lost consciousness. SCP-76-2 immediately attempted to breach containment and was subsequently terminated. An additional 10 personnel were lost during the containment attempt, before finally succumbing to his injuries. SCP-76-2 was heard muttering, "That's the most fun I have had in ages." Note: the manifestation of by SCP-1669-20 shows no upper limit to the abilities that can be manifested by an SCP-1669 instance during Event 1669 Alpha. Due to the high loss of Foundation personnel and damages to Foundation resources, further attempts to prevent Event 1669 Alpha were suspended following this incident. Going forward, under no circumstances is SCP-1669 allowed to come into contact with SCP-76-2. End log. Once again, the Foundation is increasing their horde of anomalies that they cannot comprehend. Rather than simply eliminating the original anomaly, they choose to keep experimenting with the power of SCP-1669. They even dragged another dangerous anomaly into the mix and, as suspected, the situation got out of their hands. Fortunately, the root of the anomaly doesn't seem to be as dangerous as the alpha instances, and will be dealt with swiftly once we gather enough information about the site in which it is kept. I am Virus Anonymous. We are the GOC, and you have been informed.